Welcome to our MSP Growth and Efficiency webinar. Thank you for joining. So we've got Srikanth speaking today and Donovan. So I'll just hand it over to you, Donovan.
Thanks, Jada. Welcome everyone who has joined the call. My name is Donovan Munitich. I am the ServiceNow Practice Director at Captius. I'm ex-ServiceNow. My role at Captius is with the new go-to-market strategy of Captius to focus on MSP territories and accounts. I have a vast amount and array of experience within MSPs. When I joined ServiceNow, there was 4 of us, and when I left ServiceNow, there were 16. Organically, my experience had grown mostly within the customer workflow as well as the MSP space. So I'm here to head up the practice for our go-to-market strategy within the MSP territory. Over to Srikanth.
Thanks, Donovan. Hi, everyone. I'm Srikanth. I'm a certified technical architect at Captius. I take care of the solution design and architecture. My expertise in technology providers and MSPs. Me and my team will make sure whatever the investment that they're making onto ServiceNow is worth it and they see the value out of the investment. Thank you.
Thanks, Srikanth. 1 second, let me share my screen quickly. Okay, so like Jada had done with the introduction to our roadmap to MSP growth and efficiency, so we're going to have 2 sections. My section, we're going to be looking at the top challenges with MSPs. It's top challenges that MSPs will face in 2025, but also have been facing up until this point. We'll take a look at how ServiceNow is able to enhance the MSP efficiencies and tackle those problem areas. And then Srikanth will be discussing our Captius MSP360 PSA, which is built on ServiceNow's TPSM. And then we'll open up the chat with questions for Srikanth and myself. Just a little bit of housekeeping. If you do have any questions, there is a chat feature which will be moderated by Jada. So please feel free to post any questions into the chat. And we'll answer those questions at a relevant point in time, but also we will have that last little section for about 10 or 15 minutes just to answer any questions. So taking a look at the top challenges within the MSP space. Now, these aren't only the top 5 challenges, just a multitude of challenges within the MSP space. One of the biggest challenges is that within the MSP space, not only do we have silos and tools across the organization, but the typical strategy with growth for an MSP is growth through mergers and acquisitions. And that in itself provides quite a large challenge. And one of the larger challenges is that there's often disconnected silos, disconnected tools, disparate tools. And when it comes to a typical issue within an MSP from a customer request, for example, or even just an understanding of a customer issue, typically within an MSP space or within the tech industry, it is related to an IT-related issue. And when a customer raises a request or notification for an issue, the issue spans multiple of those tools and all divisions within an organization and those silos. And typically that causes an inconsistency within a service desk and lack of visibility across the enterprise, as well as poor handoffs. So when a request lands in L1, for example, or an L2, they may or may not be able to resolve that issue, and it may have to then go to a different department to take a look at an investigation. And that cut off between the transparency, visibility, accountability between those departments is causing quite a lot of issues within MSP. So Gartner's actually done a survey and has found that 45% of MSPs report that the sprawl across the tools and silos slows down resolution time. And when it comes to resolution, and a typical resolution and solution to disconnected tools and silos, we would want to seek out a unified PSA platform which incorporates workflows across CRM, CPQ, customer workflow, and within customer workflow, it would include your likes of the base ITIL-based processing, because again, like I referred to a little bit earlier, at the heart of a customer query is typically an IT issue where when we're servicing with an MSP, we are looking to service based on an ITIL-based servicing, whether that's internal or external servicing. We have the customer engagement, but we would also looking to use an ITIL-based service to resolve that IT or that technical issue. Another big issue when it comes to MSPs and the tech industry as a whole is inaccurate billing and entitlement tracking. So Forrester here has done a survey and found that there's $12 billion in global MSP revenue leakage from manual billing errors. Now, this sounds like a strange statistic, and it's actually not one that is very rare. It's actually very common within tech and the MSP space. I've worked with a number of MSPs who either have lack of visibility across their entitlements and their products and their assets. For example, one use case that I was working on, the customer had about £1 million, they estimate about £1 million worth of assets within the field that they couldn't track at any one point in time. And that is quite a large revenue for that organization. I've worked with customers with the likes of not having any visibility into their CPQ, disconnected CPQ systems, point solutions within their CPQ, across their silos and across their tools. And unfortunately, not only is it an issue when it comes to profitability, but it undermines your customer trust and the friction that it causes at the point of costing and billing is quite high. Now, the solution to that would be an end-to-end tracking for your contracts, your billing, your quote to cash, and an understanding of not only entitlements, but your products, your assets, your resources that are in your field. One that you're probably very familiar with, but back in the day, about 23 or 24 years ago, I was a outsourced resource for an MSP working for Hewlett Packard. So I was an L1 agent, and this was back in the day, so not as advanced as our platforms at the moment, but the number of times I had to do the same thing, put my customers on pause, on hold, ask for a question to one of my colleagues to get the answer. It all culminated in a very inefficient service. And if we look now within 2025, about 30% of our customers' resource agents or L1 agents are doing and repeating tasks and repeating manual tasks. Now, the problem there is that your agents cost quite a large sum to onboard. It increases operational costs, it limits scalability, and it always relies on a manual input for repetitive tasks. And again, handoffs and handovers when it goes across silos, across departments, is quite a large limitation. Now, you may be aware that at the moment the hot topic is AI. So and there's been an evolution within the AI and repetitive automation and RPA space. But at the moment, we're looking at leveraging AI-powered automation to resolve, to triage, and to orchestrate. One use case that I found with customers as well is at large volumes of work, because of manual processes and because of limiting the scale, organizations actually add more manpower. So they hire to fill the gaps where, again, is increasing operational costs, whereas they're not effectively using AI and or automated processing to accomplish those repetitive tasks and free up resources within an organization. Now, we have to start somewhere within the service lifecycle, and the maturity within the MSP and the service space is always starting in a reactive model. But hopefully, with the improvements within automation and adoption within, for example, ServiceNow, we're able to move beyond a reactive service model. But a reactive service model is a wait to see if a customer has an issue, and when they do have an issue, the customer reaches out to their service provider to say, I have an issue with product XYZ, please investigate. And typically, like I said, we need to start somewhere, but unfortunately with a reactive service model, it's always relying on the customer to inform the service provider that they have an issue. And what that can typically lead to is a friction-filled, complex system and process, and often will lead to customer churn. And typically when the customer is reacting to issues from the service provider, they put the service provider in a very difficult position to cross-sell, upsell, and have the consumer or the customer adopt new services from that vendor. So a TSIA survey has found that 60% of MSPs miss their SLA targets due to a lack of proactive alerts. So like I said, within the maturity scale within MSPs, we go from a reactive, proactive, predictive, eventually to the utopia of no services, the best service, where we just inform the customer that there was an issue. Please just be on the lookout for any kind of glitches or potential symptoms on your side, but the problem has been resolved, a case has been created, or a record has been created to track any potential issues. And then beyond no services, the best service is leveraging AI and agentic AI to monitor and orchestrate and coordinate the resolution across an enterprise, rather than having an actual person triaging and going through case resolution or investigation processes. So, like I said, being proactive with your service workflows, notifications when your SLA is coming up to breach and or within a certain period of breach, and then understanding the health and the scoring of the health across your monitoring architecture. And then last but not least, before I hand over to Srikanth, is limited operational insights. Now, this one is actually quite an easy one to solve, because ultimately it's all about the data. Now, it does actually rely on the health of the data and the normalization of that data and how it's structured within your enterprise and your organization. But within ServiceNow, for example, we have the ability to take the data, leverage the data for the individual personas within a department to make sure that those people who have a vested interest, or the SMEs or your stakeholders or your the business operations leads, they have the information right there when they need to forecast, to set trends, and understand not only their productivity, but also their product life cycles, their asset life cycles, the costing, etc., to understand how they're operating within their division, but in the enterprise as a whole, as it rolls up to personas higher up in the hierarchy. So resolution to your limited operations would be, like I said, real-time dashboards, but ultimately driven by AI and the insights from the customer. So those are the top challenges and trends that we found within the tech and the MSP space. And I'll now hand over to Srikanth to walk you through how ServiceNow solves those issues.
Thanks, Donovan. All right. Hope everyone can see my screen now. Brilliant. So before I directly jump into explaining why ServiceNow is great, how it can solve all your problems, let's start with a generic scenario. In every organization, be it a technology provider, MSP, or any organization, over the past decades, everyone is going after digital transformation. So digital transformation, promise them utopia. Like you get great customer service, you can cut your cost, you can make your employees more productive. All of that is still a dream. So if you see in reality, many organizations, they are still having the siloed tools. They are still having the on-premise tools. They have shifted from on-premise to cloud, or we can say endpoint solutions now. They end up with a lot of endpoint solutions. The reason being, it works for them, number one. And number two is the cost consciousness. So they know that they need to change, but they're still stuck with the systems, a lot of different systems. That is still fine. But if you're an MSP or tech provider aiming to serve a large ticket clients, like someone like NHS or a bank, a very big customers, when you're trying to service them, they can't expect delays from your service. They need top-notch service. They need best self-service. And even your agents needs to be very productive because SLAs will be on the back end and you have promised them a particular quality of service. So if you're still having these endpoint tools in such scenario, it will not work out. You can't scale, you can't grow as an organization. So that is one of the motivating factor why you should be connecting your different systems. So we are not asking you to replace all your tool sets. Rather, all the processes should be connected. Let's assume if all these processes are connected. When we mean processes, let's start with the basic customer. When customers comes to your self-service portal, they can access the knowledge articles and use the chat bot there and self-help themselves. So there will be ticket triage. So they find all the information that they need. From there on, let's consider your sales teams. So whenever an order or if they are requesting a particular service, imagine if the whole order fulfillment is seamless and you can easily transfer that to your service team to fulfill that particular order, and you can upsell more services. Both your field service and your normal service agents, all the tools are integrated, orchestrated, and connected. So they don't need to go to multiple tools. All they have is one dashboard, one workspace. They sit there and deal with that particular issue. They have all the information that they need. And then the customer success managers. So you need to give some true love and care to your customers. So if you can do all of that service review meetings, everything from the platform. So all of this process is streamlined. So you're bringing your CRM, you're bringing your service and your CPQ, all of them together onto one platform. And when speaking about the platform, ServiceNow is positioned in a way, the beauty of platform is its architecture. First thing is you can connect multiple systems that you have. There are three layers here. The first layer is your data layer. Whatever the tool set you're having, you can directly integrate to the tool set to bring in the required data. And on top of the data layer, you have the workflows. Workflows are your automation and the processes that we were discussing before. And every boardroom conversations or everyone nowadays, it has moved on from digital transformation to AI. So everyone is discussing about AI. Within ServiceNow platform, AI is embedded into these workflows. So it's not like a plugin you get or some app you get. It's embedded into the workflows. It's embedded into the platform. It's embedded into the data model. So that's the advantage. And it starts with one department and you can go by use case, and help every single department in your organization. I would like to go into detail of these three main pillars. One is AI, the other one is data, and then the workflows. Starting off with AI, so we are way past the generative AI trend. It's no more text. You have used ChatGPT, DeepSeek, all of them. It's no more just the text generation. We are now in the era of AI agents. They intelligently knowing what to do, how to break your task, and acting to do that particular task. That's where the world is moving towards. Every conversation will go till here and it will stop. The reason being, your stakeholders or your C-suite need that use cases. Use cases and the true business value, exactly how AI agents can help me. So ServiceNow is excelling in that space. So straight away, you're getting more than 100 use cases that you can use, the common use cases, because out of Fortune 500, almost 90% are using ServiceNow. So they might have come across the same use case before. So all of them are packaged. So straight away, you get access to the use cases. With that, the advantage, the time to value. You don't need to have a big roadmap and plan all of that, and you might miss even this agentic AI bus, and you might not get on the bus itself if you wait for something to happen, work on this roadmap. So you can get started immediately from day one. You can see that value. And the other major question is on security. So I'm not going to replacing people and all of that, but let's address the security. You are still in control. It works together with you. When I mean together with you, getting the approvals or asking you to do what's the recommended way. So you can control all of that. And then it's all built on ServiceNow platform. You don't need any subscription. If you're already working on something internally, you have an AI strategy, you're building your LLM, that's great. You can directly integrate to ServiceNow. If you don't have anything, ServiceNow is a great starting point for you. Straight away, you can turn on the switch and you can start using all the features that are there. If you go into detail exactly, okay, that is great. And going into use cases, in MSP world or technology provider world, we are trying to address two major personas who are very important. One is your customers. So these AI agents can be deployed to your customers in their self-service portal. So whenever they are trying to access self-service, they can directly have a genuine conversation with that AI agent. It will recommend these are the steps for you. You can find all this information, the relevant information. You don't need any code or any configuration to set it up. You can immediately switch on the use cases that are there. And then moving on to the employee productivity. Employees in the sense your agents. So they are dealing with the tickets. So day in, day out, they're dealing with the tickets. So summarizing the cases for them, generating the notes for them, and acting on their behalf. I'll give you a basic example. We were working with one of the MSP customers. They are offering Microsoft services. So that individual agent needs to go to the first, they get the issue. They need to find out all the customer information, what they have sold to them, what type of service they have. And then that agent goes to the events or the logs. They go to their RMN platform and see if there is some failure in this particular system. They go to Microsoft documentation and check for all the information. They have now deployed an AI agent which will do all of these things for that particular agent. It will get the information because the data model is there. You have all the information connected. You can integrate with your RMM platform to search through the logs. You can integrate with Microsoft documentation to look through the documentation if there is any new article. And then automatically it will ask the agent saying, okay, there is some document saying there will be global outage. Do you want me to create an outage? All that agent is doing is yes, they'll validate the information saying yes, and immediately it will create an outage letting all the customers know, okay, this service is being impacted. Just imagine how much time is being saved. Not only that, what's the quality of service you're providing to your customers, saying there will be an outage, and proactively letting them know. So there are very good use cases like this that you can deploy, and organizations are really seeing the value. BT is seeing the value. They have improved almost 33%, decrease the time to resolve. And also Kainos are doing that, average time to resolve the case. You might ask how these numbers came up. They're using in different capacities, like writing the knowledge article, like here, after the resolution, populating the resolution notes, the handover information. There are valid use cases for you to get started with. That's on AI. The next one is data. We all know data is very important. I would not position ServiceNow as some data lake or the data platform. Let's be honest. So you might be having a good data lakes or that respect to system, that system of record in your organization. You can directly integrate with that. What data fabric does is it is a zero copy integration. So you don't need to bring all the data, do the TTL operation and put within ServiceNow. Rather, you can directly fetch the metadata or the required data from that platform, perform that operation and go to the next step. It's not just one platform that you're linking to. You can create the whole workflow or the whole use case, which consists of many platforms. So that's the power of workflow data fabric. And internally, what ServiceNow are doing is they've come up with something called RaptorDB. So as you're pulling this large scale of data, you need the database to be faster. So they have introduced the RaptorDB, and they're still working on many connectors as well. Previously, there was Integration Hub. Still, it's Integration Hub. Internally, they are working on converting all these spokes into the data fabric or the latest innovation, whatever they've released. The next one is workflows. So we have a beautiful team here. So the three major things. So I would not say ServiceNow is new in CRM. Recently, they have just rebranded saying CRM, but it's there from long time. The key features of a CRM, let's leave marketing out. Marketing still takes time. We all are agreed with that. But the key pillars of CRM, one is your sales teams. There is sales order management within ServiceNow. The next one is once you have made that sale, how do you service your customers? So you have customer service management and the complete service operations. And then how do you maintain that relationship with customer? You have the customer success. So all these three key pillars are there within ServiceNow. And now they have packaged these three into CRM. Let's go into detail of what these three are. First one, let's start with the sales team. So what you could do is directly you can integrate with your sales, let's say LinkedIn Sales Navigator or Lesha. You're, let's say, a new rookie salesman was onboarded. So they can create the leads within ServiceNow. From leads, you can convert the leads into opportunities. So you can work on the opportunities. From opportunity directly, you can create the orders, you can create the invoices. Everything is within ServiceNow. And not only that, the good part is you can very quickly create, let's say if you're coming up with some innovative idea, let's create this package. Immediately you can create a product offering or that product catalog for that particular thing you have in your mind by grouping different line items. Immediately you can deploy that. So you're trying to generate more revenue and make this whole sales process very seamless. So you don't need to wait for many things, wait for these documents to be generated, wait for this information to be populated. Everything is seamless within ServiceNow. So that's on the sales side. And the next one is, it's not just the sale. You get a nice shiny salesman and do the sales, but it's after that, like how we are serving the customer that really matters. And I'll be honest with you, ServiceNow CSM is one of the best data model out there in the market. On sales side, I agree, still ServiceNow is working on it. It needs to come to some maturity state. But service side, ServiceNow is hands down the best data model I have seen personally. It's positioned in a way that you can track that account, the cases, the entitlements, the sold products, and the contracts that you have with them. What are the assets, the install base items? So all these are terminology that links to you, whoever is in the service space. You can link to this terminology, and they're very helpful when you're solving the case. I'll give you a basic example, right? So you have sold a particular service to a customer. So that service is being monitored by your RMM solution. Let's assume you're using Data RMM. That particular service is done. So this Data RMM will identify there is an issue with this service. Immediately that will be sent to ServiceNow, and ServiceNow will identify, okay, this particular service was sold to 10 customers. How do you identify that? You have already linked that to sold products within ServiceNow. So 10 customers were affected. Rather than creating 10 cases and bombarding them with that, let me create one major incident or a major case. Let me fetch all the details of the CIs or that particular infrastructure that is getting affected. You get all the account details. So as the data model is there within the platform, agents straight away when they go in, they can see all the details related to that particular issue, and they're being proactive in dealing with the issue. So that's the power of the data model. And the other thing within this service space, for technology provider, one useful thing is service bridge. In many situations, if you are offering them service tests, that's fine. You can offer them platform as well. But in many cases, customer would say, I'll use my platform. I'll use my own platform. You integrate with that. I don't want you to be coming to my platform, handle those tickets, view the queues and all of that. You deal with it. You build the integration. So rather than building integration every single time you onboard the customer, there is a capability called service bridge. If your customer is using ServiceNow, which nowadays is very common, most of the organizations are on ServiceNow, or even they are putting ServiceNow in their tender process as well. If you're tendering for a very big customer, they're putting in the tender process, ServiceNow is mandatory. So if they're having ServiceNow, straight away you can integrate with Service Bridge. If not, you can use the integration hub or the service mesh to integrate with any platform that they're using. It can be Halo, Fresh, Jira, any platform, you can integrate with that. And actually, a lot of technology providers and MSPs are seeing a value. So you can see Lenovo, Xerox, and Pure Storage as examples. The next one is customer success. So customers need that true love and care, as we discussed. So it's you're giving them great service, but someone should check on them. So you need to have monthly service review meeting. You need to check how the service is. And the good part is if you're having all those conversations, you're helping customer to see more value out of that purchase, and also you get more revenue with the upsell opportunities. So all of that you can track within ServiceNow platform, the whole customer success. So these three are the main workflows. Now the question comes down to, as an MSP, it's not just these three. We all know that two main things for an MSP, as we see, or a technology provider, is you have your professional services automation, the PSA platform, and your remote monitoring platform. Varies, you may have other tools as well, like backup, security, based on type of services you offer. If you're speaking about service management space, PSA is very important. So what CapTS we are doing is we have come up with an offering called MSP360. So ServiceNow has already got the capabilities that a PSA should have. So we have packaged all these capabilities and the use cases that MSP requires. Like from day one, we need this. We have worked with a lot of MSPs and technology providers. So we have understood the use cases that are required. So we have packaged all of them and created a PSA solution on ServiceNow. So what you get with that PSA solution is you have your CRM. All of these are on one platform. So you have your CRM. You can track the complete sales cycle, the order fulfillment, everything. And then you have the CPQ, and also you can integrate the CPQ to the whole billing from lead to cash. You can automate all of that process and integrate to your billing systems as well, like Xerox or SAP. You have the service desk, the service management. It's aligned to ITIL. And integration, that's the beauty of the platform. You can configure the workflows, you can configure the integrations. And then the self-service portal. You have the self-service portal with the service catalog within that, with the knowledge management is included within that. And then you also have the asset management. So you can track your hardware, software, and also the subscription assets, all of them within the platform. You also can manage the customer projects. If you're running the customer projects, you can run it on their behalf and track your time, what the time your agents are working on. So it links back to your billing. And finally, analytics and reporting is there within the platform. And a cherry on top is the AI capabilities and the machine learning capabilities. So we have packaged this as the PSA solution on ServiceNow. You might have a question, why CapTS MSP360, or why use ServiceNow as PSA? Honestly, if you're looking for just a PSA solution, there are cheaper tools in the market, which are good. Honestly, Halo is doing really good, or Fresh, it's all right. Autotask is all right. So there are good PSA platforms out there. ConnectWise is gone case. The reason why you should go with ServiceNow is if you're looking to scale as an MSP, and if you have aspirations to go to M&A or be part of a PE firm. So if you do some market research, every large private equity firm or someone who is doing this M&A, they are expecting to have ServiceNow because it's an enterprise grade solution. It's not stuck as an endpoint tool. Okay, it does the job for you, but you need to scale as an organization. You need to generate more revenue, offer more services, be ambitious. So if you're having all of this, endpoint tools will not do the job for you. You need something more mature, something more scalable. That's where ServiceNow comes in. So if you're starting with ServiceNow, you're setting the foot in right direction. So it's just one platform for all your sales, your service, and customer success, as we discussed. And it has many different capabilities as well. And ServiceNow continuously innovates. They're making an investment. They're investing almost like 40% of their revenue. They're making these acquisitions to make their capabilities much stronger. So from the initial days, they're more product focused. They focus on the product and they're offering. So it's one platform. And the next one is AI. So AI is not as a bolt on, it's built into the platform. And the next one is, yes, you need some individual tools, endpoint solutions for particular purpose, but you're trying to save cost in many areas. Like if you're having all these three in one, you can cut costs by removing those platform, and you're owning just one platform. The final outcome from all of this is you are having faster deal cycle, no mess in that sales process, proactive service, we'll have happy customers, and also strong customer relations. So you're getting upsell value and retaining those customers. What more you need as a technology provider. So this is the whole value. If I need to sum up, I'm not sure if you're running out of time, but first thing, we're good. Yeah, pick time to value. So what you get is we have already built this solution for MSPs. So you need not to buy ServiceNow license, wait for a 2-year-long implementation project, realize the whole billing is going overboard and have these discussions and all of that. So it's pre-packaged. We know from day one, you get this, and this is the maturity level. We can give you that quick time to value. And these are pre-built use cases for MSPs. So we have done our market research. We have worked with a lot of MSPs, and we have built this for MSPs. And then proven customer success. We have the customer success stories. We have worked with organizations like Chrome. So they are seeing true value out of the investment they have made onto ServiceNow platform and from this CAPTIA's MSP360 offering. So we can share the customer success stories as well. You can directly hear from them. So that's CAPTIA's MSP360, your go-to PSA on ServiceNow platform. Now we are open to questions. So you can scan this QR code to go to our MSP360 page. You can reach out to us anytime if you have questions. We can do detailed demos as well. We like to demo all the individual line items that you have seen in real time, how it looks like. So we are open to questions now. Thank you.
So there is a question that came up during the session, your slide 17, when you were talking about streamlining servers. So the question is, how does it work with non-ServiceNow platforms? So you were talking about the service bridge for ServiceNow to ServiceNow instances. So could you explain how it would work with non-ServiceNow?
Perfect. Thanks, Donovan. I'm glad someone asked a good technical question. So out of the box, there are multiple ways you can do that. First thing is ServiceNow, the individual vendors have deployed apps on ServiceNow store. So directly you can install them and the integration is pre-configured. That's number one. That's the easiest way. Let's assume if that is not there. Number two, you can use the integration hub. You can use the integration hub and build the workflows to integrate with that particular solution. Number three, that's where if you go with CAPTIAS, we have built something called Service Mesh. So Service Mesh is very similar to Service Bridge. Service Bridge is ServiceNow to ServiceNow connection. What we have built is a reusable framework. So you're cutting the onboarding cost for every integration. So it's a reusable framework where you can integrate with any of the vendor. It's deep down, it's same. Your integration, basic integration, REST messages here. You're making the calls, getting the details, and setting up some webhooks on the platform in the other end. But we have created a reusable framework called Service Mesh. So it will automatically maintain the queues for you. It will run these polling or schedule jobs for you to fetch the details. And you also can maintain which assignment group, what's the security around that, what's the trigger point for that. So that is part of the MSP 360 solution. That's Service Mesh. So we have pre-built connectors in Service Mesh as a starting point. The common things that we see are Jira, Fresh, Ivanti. Ivanti, they are migrating from that though. So Jira, Fresh, there is Halo. We are working on Halo as well. So yeah. Any other questions?
One more question. So can we manage different pricing for the services and products in sales order management?
Okay, perfect. So someone is trying to promote ServiceNow here. So yes, that's a great question. So ServiceNow sales order management, the beauty is you can create that product offerings, and within that product offerings, you can maintain different pricing SKUs. So in a real-time scenario, everyone will not have the same price. So for every customer, based on the relationship you have with them, you maintain a different price list for them. You have different discounts for them. So straight away out of the box, you can manage all of that within ServiceNow. You can create the product offerings and you can maintain different price lists for customer, your discount prices, and your salesman can go crazy and he can make the sale. You can configure all of that within ServiceNow platform. So yes, you can track all of that.
Another question. So can you share any real world ROI examples for MSPs who are currently using MSP360?
Yes. Yes, we can share the example. Let me try to get that customer success story. So we have worked with a customer called Chrome. So they are migrating from Ivanti. They had a very bad experience previously in the time frame of the project, and they're not seeing value with their investment. Like it's not doing job for them because they have a lot of endpoint solution. It's quite hard to integrate with them. So we have deployed MSP360. They're using TPSM. So we have deployed MSP360 for them offering. So now they've linked all their solutions. So they are using a backup platform. They're using a dispatch, order dispatch platform. They're using an RMM platform. So all of them are now integrated. So they are maintaining their giving proactive service to customer. So the outcome they have seen is they have seen immediate improvement in the customer satisfaction as they have rolled out the self-service portal. From day one, customers are very happy. And the simple thing, like the simple thing customers are happy about is, for example, a change request. Before they were not able to see, okay, I need to make a change. They were not able to see the change request or approve anything. They don't know what's happening. A simple deployment of a self-service portal with visibility into, okay, this is the change we are making on your infrastructure at this particular time, and we are asking you for approval. Yes, I approve that. And you can see all the details when the change is happening. So they're liking the visibility or that self-service features and even customer specific knowledge articles. So they'll see more relevant information, very simple things like that. The customers are really happy. So their CSAT was improved, and even their agents are very happy. So they are now not going into many tools. They have one dashboard. In one dashboard, they're seeing all the information.
Thanks, Srikanth. Another question. How is CSM aligned to ITIL? As an MSP, we want to manage our change requests with customer approvals.
Perfect. So that links back to whatever we're discussing. So in MSP world, we always have this discussion, rather I would say a debate with customers on case versus incident. Because for an MSP, it's all ITIL aligned process. So you're offering your particular service, it should be ITIL aligned. Incident, problem, change. Case is just a ticket time introduced by ServiceNow. What we have done, let's take Chrome as an example. So this case is tightly coupled with the ITIL incident management, problem change management that we already have. So the reason why we are still maintaining the case, or the ticket that friend is facing to customer, is the data model. So all the CSM data model, because you need to know if you are going with the incident, you need to know which customer it relates to, what you have sold to them, all those details. So we have tightly coupled the case, incident, problem, change, all of that. So for you internally, you are still following the ITIL standards, and for your customers, they are having great visibility. For us, for them, it's all the ticket, right? I'm raising some request. It doesn't matter if it's a service request, you have fulfillment steps, or if it's an issue, they just raise a ticket. All they do is come in and put in a description or ask you for something. It's a question for them. So how you deal with that internally is your standard. So we have covered both of it. So you have your case management, which is tightly coupled to the ITSM process.
And just to add to what Srikanth had said there, within the world of MSPs and within the world of ServiceNow, the engagement for our external entities and customers would take place through what is called the CSM layer, and that case. So like Srikanth said, case is just a ticket type. It's a record within a database table, but internally within the MSP, where the service takes place, that takes place within the ITIL aligned service types, which would be your incident, problem, and your change. But what we have done and what ServiceNow have done is tightly coupled the case, the self-service portal, and the ITIL aligned processing. So for the customers, when they are engaging on their self-service portal, they can see updates of and also approve those change requests, like we did with Chrome, which Srikanth alluded to. So we do have another question. Where do you think MSPs invest in AI, in ServiceNow or in their own observability platforms?
Okay. So I would say it comes down to organization's internal AI strategy. If you ask me, being from ServiceNow world, I'll say invest in ServiceNow, but there should be balance. There should be balance. I would not say completely focus your complete AI strategy around ServiceNow. So it's the advantage with ServiceNow is it's an application layer. whatever you're doing internally, let's say you're creating a new large language model or deploying AI agents, so straight away you can plug them into ServiceNow. So when you should, let's put it this way, right? So if you want to see value immediately from day one and you're not having anything, invest into ServiceNow. So from day one, you'll get the value. No, you want something more very industry specific. So ServiceNow one is very generic to service management. So it's generic to workflows you have, but you have very industry specific use cases. We are working with one customer, they're into healthcare industry. The questions that you get from healthcare sector, from the individual NHS hospitals that you have are slightly different to the normal service management. So what they have done is if you're handling a particular type of customer or a particular industry, I would say invest on your internal large language model onto your internal platform. First, develop that capability and then plug it into ServiceNow. It depends based on your internal AI strategy. If you have any specific question, we'd like to do a session with you, sit together with you, showcase what ServiceNow can do. So if there are any gaps, can do with other platforms. But ServiceNow is making a lot of acquisitions. They want to be that one control tower. So everyone is releasing their own AI agents. ServiceNow is not stepping on their toes. Rather, it says, okay, have your own AI agents, have your own large language model. What we want to do as they are positioning themselves is we are one platform in application layer. We want to speak to all of them. Just connect them to us. We'll try to orchestrate all of them.
Another question. So for MSPs evaluating MSP360, which is built on ServiceNow and TPSM, and Ivanti Neurons, what are the top 3 things to consider?
Ivanti Neurons. So personally, I don't have much idea into Ivanti Neurons, but few of our customers, not even one, like I've seen 3 or 4 customers who have migrated from Ivanti. The major challenge that they have is everything you need to build from scratch. Like in ServiceNow, you get a lot of the things out of the box and easy to configure. Ivanti, they had to build all the processes and tailor it completely to their organization. When you are doing that, many times it's one individual or one team controlling the way the process should be rather than aligning it to an industry standard. Like if it's ITIL, let's try to stick to ITIL. You can't completely change it to how your organization work. So that is one major thing. Number 2 is I'd say integration capabilities. So within ServiceNow, integration and automation, the orchestrations you can build as you like based on the use cases. And number 3 is I don't see any post from Ivanti on AI. So I assume, yeah, I can't comment on that, but ServiceNow is front runner in AI. So that's one major point for you to push towards ServiceNow than Ivanti.
Thanks, Srikanth. Another question. So what features support MSPs in maintaining compliance and audit readiness across clients from different regulatory environments? So I think this is not AI specific. It's more just how is ServiceNow with an MSP who services multiple clients across different industries? How does it stay compliant with those regulations?
Yeah, that's a very good point, to be honest. So a lot of MSPs nowadays, not only them being compliant with how they serve their customers, they're also offering compliance as a service because many customers are planning to be compliant with the DORA or the latest EU AI Act or many regulations that are there. So they want that control, someone to manage the controls and all of that related to their audit process. So within ServiceNow, they have a specific module called Identity Risk Management. You can use that to track all of your risks and everything. If not, the simplest thing you could do is within ServiceNow, you can create your own application or process or even case type. It can be as simple as creating a particular service for them and have a platform that is good and integrate with that particular platform. But yeah, it comes down to the process and the service that MSP is offering.
And just to add to what Srikanth was saying there about DORA, so we had a meeting yesterday with 2 top executives from ServiceNow who are out from the US. and they're doing a banking summit and webinar and session with regards to ServiceNow and DORA compliance within the banking industry and the FS space. So we have another question. So many platforms promise automation, but how deep does MSP360 go with AI-driven automation compared to others like Atera?
Okay. I've come across Atera on YouTube multiple times. They're trying to target me as an audience. So it looks fine, but I'd speak for ServiceNow. I can't comment on Atera, but it's not just MSP360. MSP360 is an offering from CapTS built on capabilities of ServiceNow. So ServiceNow on the automation side, they've got the flow designer. When we speak about automation, there are two things, right? One is automating the manual tasks, like automatically creating the steps, what you need to do. Number two is the integration capabilities. So from long time, ServiceNow had that service catalog concept where people submit something and you can let your own process owners to build that whole flow of what task should be done. So you're automating that. So once you set up that process, number two is you can integrate with that particular platform to even go to the next level of orchestration. Let's say if I'll take an example, onboarding process, right? General onboarding process, create an AD account, send a laptop to them. Day one, you start by creating the manual task. ServiceNow had their capability from a long time. Later, they have announced something called Integration Hub. Immediately, you can use the spokes to link with AD and create that AD account. Now, what they have moved on to is AI agents. So AI agents are going to do the job for you. Whatever you have built here, the same concepts will be used in AI agents as well. So they're moving towards that AI-driven automation with AI agents. And to back up that fact, what ServiceNow is doing or how ServiceNow is leading is they've got 100 use cases. They have collected the use case from partners, all their innovation teams, like 3/4 of their product teams were working on just the AI and AI agents in the last 1 year. So they're invested very heavily and they're making all the acquisitions as well. So MoveWorks. So that MoveWorks acquisition itself shows that they're very invested in AI-driven automation. Why would they spend about 40% of their revenue to acquire something like MoveWorks? So that is, yeah, that's what they're doing in the AI-driven automation space.
So another quick question is, will we see more AI agents from CapTS in the future?
Yeah, we'd love to showcase more AI agents. We have got good use cases. I'll not some cliffhanger type thing we'll leave at the end. But we have got AI agents in the CRM space, in the service management space, and we are experimenting with customers because we want to show it to you once customers see the real value, if it makes sense. So we'll do a webinar very soon on that.
And then another question. So how does TPSM leverage domain separation and scoped applications to securely manage configurations, incidents, SLAs for multiple customers with a single ServiceNow instance?
Okay. So if you're getting around to technical discussions, so first thing first, customer service management, if you're looking to just segregate the customer data and have that specific security for customer data, the CSM should do the job. Because out of the box, whenever you're creating an account, all the details of that account are specific to that account. And even you can lock it down to individuals as well. They can see only tickets that they have raised. When the domain separation comes is if you're offering a particular platform as a service. So if you want to actually offer some of their agents to come on board and be the tier 1 or tier 2, collaborate with your teams to work on that, that's where the domain separation comes in. So if you go with domain separation, the advantage is not just only the security, it's also the process. So you can slightly tweak the process with domain separation for that particular customer. We have few customers who have a mix of both as well. You can directly, if it's a very small scale customer, you can directly go with the account and the basic customer service data model. If it's a very large scale customer and there's a potential that you want to do something different for them, you want to do something more for them, then you can onboard them onto a particular domain. That's a question internally, right? Single or domain separated. Sorry, Donovan, go ahead.
No. I was just about to say that that's quite a heavily loaded question. So again, maybe we can have a session on that as well. So I think we're coming up to 11 o'clock or just on it. So one final question. Does it support multi-tenant environments for MSPs managing multiple clients?
So when you're referring to multi-tenant environment, it can be a domain within ServiceNow. So the same tenant can be a domain within ServiceNow. Or if you're referring to tenant as, let's say, if you're managing customer's tenant, like their Azure AD tenant, it comes down to the security, how you integrate with their particular tenant. I'll take a basic example when we get this tenant discussion. So most of the cases, a managed service provider, if they're offering Microsoft services, they maintain their Microsoft Azure tenant. So if they're maintaining their Azure tenant, what customers are doing, or what we have done for customers, is make that as part of the onboarding process. So whenever you're onboarding a customer, you clearly say, okay, if you're managing your tenant, if you'd like to connect to our service now, you need to deploy this particular app. You need to give us this type of security restrictions. So you have the discussions while you're onboarding that customer. And ServiceNow, technically, it supports multiple tenants. You can connect to multiple Azure identity providers, or you can connect to that particular customer environment. So all the credentials, every process for that would be different. We need to understand more detail about that particular question, to be honest.
Another heavily loaded question, that one there. Thanks, Srikanth, and thank you, Jada, for hosting the session. We have hit the hour with a couple of pretty awesome questions. So stay tuned. We'll be running some future webinar sessions. But for now, thanks everyone for joining. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday.